Last video, I built this amazing starter house using the Minecraft Create mod. It's equipped with a working windmill and water wheel to power the various machines inside it. However, my armor is still less than stellar, and I was constantly in need of bones for the build. So today, I'm going to fix both of those problems. Also, small detail, but I love how you can see the windmill through the window. First things first, getting diamonds for armor is simple enough. And in order to not be our typical off-camera miner, here's a nice time-lapse of me painfully mining through deep slate. And yes, or some of you go rushing off to the comments, I did indeed spend an hour and a half doing this just to find out that you can make an automatic drill with the Create mod. Oh well, at least it's over now. With all of that mining, I was still only able to make a diamond chestplate and boots. We're gonna need to make that drill later. As much as I hate just straight mining, the real struggle is actually gonna be getting a reliable source of XP for the enchantments. This is especially the case for me since I have a particularly unique farm design in mind. And of course, we're going to be utilizing the Create mod to build the entire thing. Also, say hi to my dog Moss. While I think this name fits really well, there are some other good suggestions also. I quickly planned out where the next few builds are going to be and decided that the skeleton farm will be on the opposite side of the island. Oh, and that's what we're going to be building. I think around here should do. Before this farm, I'm going to need a whole lot of wool. I'm talking about 30 stacks worth. But I have these sheep that I've been slowly shearing to gather some wool, but I don't really want to worry about it while I gather other materials. We're just going to do the simplest farm I know and automate the process. Just clear out some land, observer facing into the block, redstone, dispenser, we'll surround it with glass, copper going in, copper minecart, then we just put shears in here. And now whenever the sheep eats that grass, the dispenser will activate shearing the sheep and the wool will go into the chest down below. And yes, there's probably another way to do this with the Create mod, but this works too. Alright, in you go. There we go. We have all our sheeps in their containers. So we're doing pretty well on the material gathering so far. However, I still need to get things like cobblestone, dark oak, and spruce wood. So a lot of you have been asking about what mods I'm using or if I can provide a download link for them. As of right now, I'm still tweaking some things and I'm not 100% done. However, I should be done by next episode, so just stay tuned for that. We also need to go back to Nether because we need things like glowstone, blackstone, and some more quartz. Alright, so I'm back from the Nether, and we need to make an alchemy bench. For that, we need a brewing stand, crafting table, enchantment table, and 4 slabs. We have our brewing stand here, and I think there, yep, I made an enchantment table earlier. There we go. And now we can change this glowstone into the fancy glowstone lanterns, which we need for the build. Alright, so I have most of the materials for this first part of the build, so let's just go over to where it's going to be and start building. Alright, so we're just going to lay down the foundations of this circle. We're also going to need to fill in a bunch of this ground. I think this is good for the inner circle. Now we need to make an outer circle that will actually be the walls that we can see. And we're also going to add a little bit of texture along the way. Alright, so I went ahead and filmed me leveling out the rest of the terrain and finishing the outer and inner walls. I am actually really happy with how this turned out. Alright, so we have the basic shape down, and now we're just going to go around and add some more detail. Alright, so we're just going to add a ring of these fancy glowstone lanterns. Now we're going to go around and detail it even more with some vines, leaves, and glow lichen. Yep, that helped a whole lot with adding detail. So now we're going to fill in the roof for the killing chamber with some stone slabs, fancy glowstone lanterns, and stone stairs. Wow, that actually looks really cool. Anyway, now we're gonna start putting in the platform, and you'll see what's landing on the platform in a little bit. Alright, we're gonna be putting in an outline of smooth stone. Next, we're going to come in with some spruce and smooth stone slabs. Okay, so the actual platform is coming along really well. As you can see, I indented the wood part a little bit from the smooth stone to try and just add a little more depth. And then the middle bit is a weird like circle star shape. I'm going to utilize these copycat panels and steps to help further develop it. Alright, so we're just going to place the panels like this, just kind of in this checkered pattern right here. Then we're going to go ahead and place them inside here as well. And how these work is you can actually take any block you want and actually place it inside, and it will mimic how that block looks. We can have the smooth stone blocks, but they're not the actual dimensions. And as you can see, we can get this really cool effect. So now I want to add a little more detail onto these walkways. And to do that, we're going to utilize the copycat steps. They work the exact same way as the panels, except they are just steps now. We're just going to place them like this. And then for these diagonal bits, we're going to place them also in a diagonal. So I just filled in all these steps, and now you can see that it really added a lot of thickness to these walkways, and it actually creates this unique shape I was going for. Now just to add a little more detail up top, I'm going to add these spires going up and around the circle of the platform. Alright, so we are just going to build up the sides a little bit, just adding a little bit of texture as we go along. Now that we have each of the bases done, we can now go ahead and build up these spires. This is already looking really cool, and we haven't even added details to the upper bits yet. And of course, we're going to be doing that with copycat steps. Just adding small details here and there actually made this place look really cool. Now the outside of the landing platform is completely done. So now we just have to install the create components, which will make this whole thing work. Alright, so what we need first are some brass funnels. And for that, we're going to need more brass. Alright, perfect. We have some left over. And I know in the last episode, I built that entire house with a full area for crafting, but I'm really just too lazy to move everything right now. Don't worry, we'll do all that soon. Alright, we're gonna make some rose quartz. And then if we hold sandpaper in our offhand, we can then sand it down into polished rose quartz. And then that, mixed with some iron sheets, makes electric tubes. Melt down some kelp. Then we place our tubes there, our brass there, and our kelp there. We get brass funnels. Alright, so we have all of our create components, and now we just have to put them in place. So, I forgot to dig this out earlier. We have a lot of digging to do. The good thing about this is that my sheep farm will actually be producing wool while this is happening. You know what? I'm actually really happy with how this turned out. Of course, this room doesn't have to be the nicest interior ever. I mean, there's gonna be a lot of death happening. Alright, so I think this is where I want these skeletons to fall down into. Alright, so we're gonna place our vaults here, and this is just for some backup storage. And then we're gonna place some hoppers feeding into the vault. Then we will surround it with trapdoors. Lever there. Place some shafts like that. And then if we take a belt, and connect it, there we go, we have a conveyor belt. Then we need a brass funnel feeding onto the conveyor belt. We'll go ahead and place some chests. And then we can place some brass funnels that are feeding into the chests. So now when the items get picked up by the hoppers and put in the vault, they'll be dispensed onto this conveyor belt where they will be picked up and placed into these chests. It's just like an easier sorting system. And then what we can do to make this belt look a little better is we can use an andesite casing and make like a little platform on it. And we'll do that for both sides. So for the rest of the killing chamber, we're just going to place slabs on here and then place blocks all around it. So now just to make this thing a little more efficient, we're going to place fans along here, and this will push the skeletons over towards this corner where then I can easily kill them. Trapdoors. And now we just got to get this whole thing powered. And we will do that back in here. We seem to have a friend here as well. I think I actually saw this guy jump into the build while I was doing the time lapse. I'll just leave you to be the manager back here. Alright, we need a gearbox, which needs to be facing up. There we go. And then we need a rotation speed controller right there. So we'll place a large cogwheel there. Then a windmill bearing there. Gearbox facing this way. And we'll just put a lot of shafts going into the killing chamber. Close that up. Oh, I actually saw this on a couple other YouTuber series. What you can do, and by no means should this actually be able to work, but if we glue it, then this big blob of white wool will actually be able to provide us with wind power. That actually looks really cursed. Okay, we need to turn up the speed to around 50-ish. And now, as you can see, this is spinning a whole lot faster than this big blob. Now we just need to connect this up. This is spinning the wrong way. Just place a gearbox there. Gearboxes actually reverse the spin, so that's why this is working. I place encased chain drives up like that. And when one is powered, then the others will be powered as well. Gearbox, face it down. Do another gearbox, also face it down. Alright, so I got all the ground components in. Now we just need to connect it with shafts. So now that is blowing the right way, but those are not. Alright, there we go, I fixed it, and they are blowing the correct way now. Alright, so I just put the items in their filters, and now if I light this, all the overflow will be burned. We can add more storage later, but for right now, this will be fine. So now all of the inside mechanics are pretty much done. However, we still need to build up where the skeletons are actually going to spawn. And for that, we're going to do a time lapse, or else this video would be 40 minutes long. So we're just going to get right into it. Let's go! This was a pain to build, but but it turned out really good. I still need to add some details, like make those spin and add some stuff on the sides here and actually make an interior. However, just stepping back and looking at these two combined, it looks so good. So now the only problem is I can't get up. I shouldn't need to get up into the actual ship too often. And with an elytra, it'll be really easy. But for right now, we're just gonna build up. Alright, so we're gonna start with this interior. Now, as you can see, I left a lot of holes to actually put in the crate components. So I think I'm just gonna make an infinite water source up here. There we go. We're gonna place a large water wheel there, and then place water so it spins. We'll place a gearbox and face it this way. We'll connect that with 2 speed controllers, and then we'll place our large cogwheels inside. We're then gonna hook up these 2 shafts like this. Place a gearbox there, then a shaft there. We'll place another speed controller and then 2 gearboxes facing into it. We'll rotate these a bit. There we go. We're now gonna connect all of this up, and now we're just gonna edit the speed of all of these. Set these to around 25, this to 25 on the top. Yeah, that seems right. Now for these outputs, we're going to put gearboxes and face them up like that. Do the same thing to this one. We'll place a gearbox right there, shaft going out, enclose it, place another shaft right there, another gearbox, and then connect it up. We'll then enclose both of these and make a little walkway right here. And then we'll do the same thing on this side. And now you can see everything is spinning. I think this works really well for just adding some detail, especially these engines. Now we're going to install what actually gets the skeletons from the ship to the landing platform. And for that, we need a weighted ejector. To make it, we need a golden sheet, depot, and cogwheel. We got our depot, golden sheet, and cogwheel. There we go. We also need a pulse extender, which works like a vanilla pulse extender, except it's just 1 block. There we go. We're also going to need 27 redstone links. Perfect. We're also going to need 2 black scarecrows, which I'll explain what they do later. We need a cart assembler, and then we're going to need a lot of tinted glass. Now normally you would need to gather amethyst shards from a geode, but if we make a cutting board and then place amethyst on it and mine it, that turns the blocks of amethyst into shards. I think this should be enough shards. And now we have our tinted glass. Alright, so we're almost done with adding the crate components into the boat hull. We're going to add our last speed controller. We'll set this to the max. That is really fast. We'll have another gearbox facing down. We just have this line of gearboxes and shafts. We'll place another gearbox right there. And then we're going to need 2 gearboxes, which will feed into the weight ejector, which will go right here. And to actually place it, we need to go back down to the platform. If we crouch and right click it, this will be the target block that the skeletons will be shot at. So this is the target block because when the skeletons are shot, they will fall a little bit short and will fall into the killing chamber. There we go. Next, we're going to place an observer facing into the ejector. We're going to place our pulse extender there, redstone, and then place a redstone link right there. We then need to set the interval here to 16 ticks, then put the signal as 2 cobblestone. Now going to place 3 sticky pistons like that. Place 3 redstone links, and again set the frequency to 2 cobblestone. They're going to shift and right click them to make them on receiving mode. And so now when the weighted ejector activates, there'll be a 16 tick delay before these pistons activate. And so what will happen is once a skeleton gets shot, these will hold up all the other skeletons from clogging up the system. So now if we place a water bucket there, the skeletons should start flowing onto the weighted ejector. And there we go, the boat mechanics should be all done. So now we just need to do the actual blimp part. So if we go down here, you can see that we have a really big area to work with. So I just went ahead and installed the base platform and then all the water so that when the skeletons spawn, they'll flow down this way, down into the second water stream and into that hole right there. So now we just need to build up the enclosure with tinted glass and cobblestone. Alright, so we have the chamber almost done. You can see it's really dark in here. And to be able to control these lights, we're going to use more redstone links. Now these are all going to be on receiving mode. For the frequency, we're just going to do oak on the top, dirt on the bottom. So now we're going to come to where our on-off switch is going to be. We place a lever there, then a redstone link, same frequency as the others. When we flip this switch, you can see this redstone link is activated, which means that these lights will be turned on, preventing anything from spawning inside the chamber. Now you're probably wondering how skeletons are actually going to be spawning inside the chamber. Well, with the create mod, you're able to move spawners. Now the only problem is I have to find 2 skeleton spawners. Yeah, this is going to take a while. After a very painful search process, I finally found both of them. As you can see, I started looking around day 230-ish. And it's now day 252. I was looking for a while. And yes, this is being recorded a couple days after that previous clip. So this first spawner I found just in a cave, kind of near my base. It actually didn't take me too long to find this. However, the other one's really far away, and that's going to be really painful to try and move. However, how you actually transport these is with a cart assembler. If I place it like that, place redstone dust and a lever, when we flip it, you can see that that is turned on now. And then when a minecart is pushed, there you go. You can see the minecart has picked up this block and it actually turned off the spawner. So now we're able to transport the spawner using the minecart. So I'm going to go ahead and get that set up and I'll see you guys when it's almost done. Alright, so we're almost back to the ship. And as you can see, I made a minecart track leading all the way up into the top part. And if we use a minecart with furnace and power it with coal, and it should push the spawner minecart all the way up into place. Now we're just gonna have to hope it makes it all the way. There we go. So now if we break the minecart, the spawner's in place. Now we just need to get another one right over there, and then this thing will be working. And there we go, both spawners are in place. So now the last thing we need to do is install the scarecrows. And what these do is they allow me to be outside of a certain range and the spawners will still work. Because normally you have to be right next to the spawners for them to actually spawn skeletons. So now if we flip the on switch, skeletons are spawning and they're getting shot out. But the only thing is they're burning. We're just going to build really high and place blocks. And they aren't burning. Oh my gosh, this is so cool. It's actually working. And the items should be, yep, they're being funneled into these different chests. I could actually just sit here and watch them fly out all day. Sadly, I am going to have to end the episode here. This build is very cool, and I'm excited to continue this series. If you did watch to the end, thank you so much. I put a lot of time and effort into these videos. So again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next episode. Peace!